Hi, my name is Jenna Johnson, and I read the book, The 55 Essentials with Ron Clark, for EDU 140. Mr. Clark was an adventurous man at the beginning when he talked about his home life and all of the stuff that he did before he started teaching. It took him a while to realize that teaching was exactly what he wanted to do. When he decided to start teaching, he thought of 55 things that students should know and use throughout their schooling. Basically, they're just rules on how you should act and treat people if you want to be respected. He did many things. He talked about a lot about how you should talk to somebody like yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am. You should use proper terminology when you're talking to them. You also want to make sure that you look into their eyes when you're speaking to them so that they know that you have their full attention. Another rule he talked about was that you wanted to learn their name and try to remember it as fast as you can. It just shows respect to the person that you're talking to and makes them know that you actually are listening and that you actually care to know their name. Another thing he talked about was that you should always say thank you or excuse me when somebody opens a door for you, or if somebody's in your way, you want to use excuse me or I'm sorry whenever you mess up. You don't want to be rude. You always want to respect somebody if you want to earn that respect from them also. He also talked about when you sneeze, you want to say, excuse me, sorry, and you always want to tilt your head away from the person so that you don't get any germs on them either. It also talks about how students should not think that they're superior from any other student in the classroom. Example was if you win a game or if you win something, you don't want to go bragging about it. You just want to take it and you want to be excited for yourself in your head, but you don't want to show that towards the other students who might get sad that they didn't win it. He's also talked about how all kids come from different backgrounds and not any kid is the same, and how most kids most teachers have the teacher's pet and stuff like that. And as a teacher, you don't want to have something like that. You want to treat all your kids equally so that they know that they are all the same in your eyes. You don't want to treat one better than the other. And that happens a lot in schools, and I know it happened in my schools. And that's a really hard thing to overcome if you're a student who is in the back of the class and your teacher doesn't really communicate with you as much as he does his teacher's pet. He was basically doing all of these rules to show you that you need to treat kids with respect, and you need to show them that to get respect, you need to respect the person you're trying to get the respect from. And kids will learn if you do this. If you teach them and they learn from it, and you are also following in those same traits, that they will pick up on it and they will learn from it and do the same thing too. Another thing he talked about was calling people, or calling their teachers and older people Miss and Mr. just as a sign of respect, and you want to do that with every teacher or every adult that you are talking to. He was also talked about how you need to clean up after yourself. Say you're at the lunch table, you need to clean up all your stuff. Or if you're in your classroom and you get something out, you need to make sure that you put it back away. Just because you don't want to be that one person that everyone has to pick up after. You want to be that respectful kid that knows that he or she needs to pick up after themselves. Another rule was to hold the door open for people that are behind you, which I know that is a big thing, I think. I mean, I hate when people just walk in front of me and shut the door. They don't even hold it open. I make it a priority to hold the door open for people that are behind me. This is just a few of the 55 essentials, but I think that the ones that I talked about were the ones that hit me the hardest, because I don't say yes sir or no sir all the time. I do miss and mister, but I think that not all kids are really sat down and taught to say yes sir and yes ma'am after everything that they do. And I think that's a really important rule that you need to be teaching your students. He also was talking about making eye contact, and that's another really big one, because if you're just looking away, and I mean, some people really can't control it, but if you don't look into their eyes, they think that you're just not really even listening, when you might be, but they don't take it that way. So basically, I mean, not everyone is perfect, and I admit that I don't do some of these rules, but I do try to do most of them to the best of my abilities. And I think that as a teacher, I need to be looking at all of these rules and really making sure that I can follow with these traits and learn from them and do these things, so that I can teach my students when I start teaching that they need to be able to take these things and know that that will help them in the long run. I think this whole book was a very eye-opening book, because these are the things that you don't really talk about day to day. And I think I really enjoyed the book, and I thought it was a great thing to read and to learn from, because it was very helpful. Okay, so thanks.